Hey y'all, IrixGuy here, back in the studio. Now this is IrixGuy's live show, so I have several live shows. I got Epic Drone Show, I've got IrixGuy's live show, and I've got sometimes Sean Coonery will come on live, but this show is just across the board. Already starting to see a lot of people trickle in. That's great. John G says hello from Portland, Maine. Sean Coonery, yeah, wow, wow. Sean Coonery said he is personally familiar with Maine. He said he is from Maine. He said, I heard y'all talking about Maine. He said the big Maine Coon cat's going to come over. So, yeah, so today's a little bit about everything, just a little across the board. I don't know about y'all, but telemarketers, they can be the most annoying thing ever. And apparently I've gotten added to one of the most annoying telemarketer lists ever. Ken says, what's up from Texas? Welcome aboard. By the way, everyone, I see a lot of people coming in here live. If you're watching this at approximately 6:24 p.m. New York City time, this is a live show, meaning that you can type, and I can see that live during the live show. Lino PR says, Mavic Delphia. Cool. Philadelphia with a Mavic Pro. Got more people coming in. Yeah, but telemarketers, I don't know how to deal with them. I say, put me on your do not call list, and then they call back. I block the number. They call back from another area code. I block that number. I tell them that if they call back again, I will take legal action, and they keep calling back from other numbers, and it's just getting to be a nuisance. I mean, telemarketers are the most annoying thing in the world. So I don't know if y'all have encountered problems with telemarketers, but, to say the least, they are very annoying, so hope y'all haven't encountered that. Drones, obviously drones, super important topic here on IrixGuy's Adventure Channel. We can talk about drones on this show. We can talk about other things. This is IrixGuy's live show, so it's across the board. Everything from travel to technology to how-to to big Maine Coon cats. Sean Coonery, the enormous Maine Coon cat that's under the desk at the moment. He said he didn't feel like being on camera, so he's hiding out. John G says, I have problems with credit card scammers. Yeah, there's scammers for everything. It's ridiculous. Brett says, oh yeah, always. Can't stand them. Yeah, there ought to be a way to, I don't know. If y'all find a fix for this, let me know, because it's going to be out of control. Something that and let me pull open this note here. I thought this was a really cool comment that came in today. Let's see. I'm loading those comments here. This was earlier today on IrixGuy's Adventure Channel. But someone, let's see. Be just a second, I'll have it pulled up. Okay, yeah, so the comment was from Mark. And Mark said, suggestion for a future show. How do you feel about DJI forcing firmware updates on their drones? Have you updated to the latest firmware on your Phantom 4? Have you noticed the kind of issues reported by many pilots, including bucking, uneven motor speed, and the camera stopping recording and flipping out? DJI never tested this firmware update, even though it forced us to use it. They stopped beta testing months ago, according to many local beta testers that were left with only partially functional firmware with no way to update it. They took out the ability to downgrade firmware from their desktop app. Yeah, that's an interesting interesting comment. Again, that came through on the channel today from Mark, talking about firmware updates. So, I mean, I don't know. How do y'all, for all the drone pilots that are watching live, how do y'all feel about being forced to update the firmware? I mean, do you think that's a positive? Do you think it should be something that should be that the owner of the drone should have more control over? So that's an interesting drone related topic. The other thing is got a lot of recipes coming to the channel. Chef IrixGuy is getting in a lot of fresh corn and all kinds of stuff. So there's going to be some good cooking channels. Drones for Life says optional. Yeah, I agree. I think forcing anything upon the user is a little bit ridiculous. John says, did you hear if you go into a restricted area, it just lands, no matter water, snow, no matter what? Yeah, that's there's. I mean, I can understand the value of safety features being in place, but in the scenario that John just mentioned, I mean, what if it's not actually? What if the device is, or the drone rather, is misreading the location, and it's not actually what it thinks it is, and it lands in the lake, and you're flying in a place that's permissible? I mean, that could be a huge problem. So I mean, there's a lot of yeah, I agree. It should do a return home, and even with the return home, I mean, sometimes if it's returning to the incorrect place, that can often be as bad as is it just landing? But nothing worse than having a drone try to land itself on the water, obviously knowing that it'll sink. So yeah, I mean, there's I don't know. I think we need to have as drone pilots, we need to have total control of that craft, and obviously we should be responsible for knowing what we're doing, where we're flying, but be able to have complete control. Because anytime the software takes over, it can potentially be very unsafe. The Drones for Life, have you seen the video? The guy flew his DJI Mavic very close. I have not, but that's the problem right now facing drone hobbyists. You've got the media, and obviously the media are, unfortunately, they're very negative in nature, because negativity typically sells better than positivity. They're after those ad dollars for their news agencies. So yeah, there's a lot of idiots out there, and in my opinion, be a drone evangelist. Be your own drone evangelist, as I preached within the Drone Evangelist videos. You can go to droneevangelist.com. Be your own drone evangelist, and promote safe and responsible drone use, and just acts like you just mentioned. Ignore that, don't publicize it. Let's let positivity rule this hobby, and let's let this hobby be long lived. John says, do you recommend DJI Care? I personally don't have it, but if you go to epicdroneshow.com and go to the store for Drone Store, you can find link to DJI there for the DJI Care. It may be something that may be beneficial, but I'm kind of, and everybody's got a different opinion about this, but I know with appliances and televisions and stuff like that, I'm the guy that that seldom, including Apple devices, I'm the guy that seldom purchases a warranty. The only thing that I purchased a warranty for was a treadmill, because I didn't want to get a year or so into that and then have it break down on me. So I spent, for the treadmill, I spent a few $100s extra to get an extended warranty, and so far the thing's still running well, which is, I guess, to be expected since I bought the warranty. It's working great, but had I not purchased it, I bet it would have broken down after a year. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's a matter of personal opinion. I mean, obviously, if a warranty is purchased, there's often an enhanced feeling of confidence that if something does break, that it may be taken care of. But there's unfortunately, there's never guarantees. Yeah. So I mean, what else we got going on? We got it's getting close to August, which is crazy. I mean, this year is flying by, and it's August is obviously when I feel that DJI Mavic Pro 2 and possibly a Phantom 5 may release. So we're getting closer to that month of truth, and we'll see what happens. Roman says, you always say nothing compares to DJI. Well, I am, and that's unfortunate, because I've been an advocate of competition since day one, and I felt that when GoPro originally announced that they were going to be releasing a drone, I thought GoPro is going to be the kill-all. They've got a huge budget, they've got a huge following of GoPro camera users that they've had for many years, and But then GoPro released GoPro Karma, and as much as it pains me to say this, it was a complete failure. And not only was it a failure, but it then became recalled. Even if it had not gotten recalled, the Karma was still in an inferior tier in my opinion. It wasn't as good as the DJI drones, and it wasn't as small as the Mavic Pro. So I mean, it couldn't lay a finger on the DJI Phantom, and even the lighter and smaller DJI Mavic Pro trumped the GoPro Karma, unfortunately. So GoPro failed to compete. I know there's been a lot of other fly-by-night brands that have released drones, and there's a lot of them that are also crowd-funded companies that, unfortunately, they never really seem to materialize. They have a vision, but they don't know how to execute that vision and create a product and bring something to market that's quality. John says, what's the difference between Phantom 3 4K and Phantom 3 SE? SE, are you talking about the standard edition? If you're talking about that, the Phantom 3 4K, not to be confused with Phantom 3 Pro. Phantom 3 4K is a Wi-Fi version. You're still going to get the camera it'll top out at 4K 30, but you're not going to get the light bridge transmission like you would get with the Phantom 3 Pro that also has a 4K camera. And then the Phantom 3 SE, compare it to the Phantom 3 Advanced. The Phantom 3 Advanced with firmware update camera tops out at 2.7K, and the Phantom 3 Advanced has light bridge. Phantom 3 Standard Edition tops out 2.7, I think it's 2.7K. It may even just top out at 1080p, but it does not have light bridge. It's got Wi-Fi. Check out epicdroneshow.com. You can find all of the latest drones on epicdroneshow.com. Roman says, DJI ever fly the Autel X-Star? I've never flown an Autel, and I've seen a lot of stuff about them, and actually I was deeply disappointed because everything that Autel was touting this year, I must reiterate, this year at CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, they seem to have a really good feature set. They had a modular camera, a lot of camera options for their drone, but I still haven't seen it materialize. Where is this Autel that was, potentially something that could potentially compete with DJI Phantom? Where is it? Why is it not on the market yet? Why can we not get it? Y'all tell me. Drones for Life says, what do you think will be the biggest upgrade from the Phantom 4 to the Phantom 5? The Phantom 5, obviously, I don't have any specs that I'm looking at yet, but to speculate, I feel the biggest jump, I think we're going to see a radical, not too radical, but a noticeable design change. Because the Phantom has pretty much kept its same physical characteristics from Phantom 1 through present. But I think we're going to see Phantom maybe slightly break away from that. And the Phantom line, it may even be a foldable design, although that may not be the case. But I'm expecting to see a modular camera option with the Phantom 5. And I'm expecting, obviously, without a doubt, 4K 60 or better. Better yet, maybe Phantom 5 will even give us a spherical 360-degree VR camera option for a drone. Because I think the Phantom 5 could be a little bit smaller. I don't see it becoming radically smaller because it fits where it is in the product lineup. It's large enough to handle wind, a moderate amount of wind, very well. But it's still a manageable size. It's not like an Inspire that's too big or too heavy. The DJI Phantom line is still a manageable size. Sure, it's not optimal to travel with like a Mavic Pro or a DJI Spark, but it's still manageable enough to where it can pack into a somewhat compact case, and it can be carried to the field to capture some really cool video. John says, oh no, there's one called Phantom 3 SE. I don't know. I have to check that out. I'll have to. Let me get a link for everyone here on the show to this version of drone. Let's see. Be just a second here, and I'll have that up for everybody. Talking about the Phantom SE. And while that's loading, Roman says, I've never flown the Autel X-Star, but heard it's just as good as DJI Phantom, and they look so similar. Yeah, it does look similar, and that's actually part of what kind of concerns me is that it looks so similar. It makes one wonder, is this just a glorified clone, or do they seriously want to compete in a what really blows my mind is that they unveil all of that, they tease people with all of that at Consumer Electronics Show 2017, yet they haven't delivered. If I was a competitor, if I was a would-be competitor of DJI, I would not only tout my product at the largest electronic show in the world, but I would have it ready to release. So at least have a pre-order. Come on. At least say, well, we understand it won't be ready until X day, but if you want to go ahead and pre-order, you can. And they haven't even offered that option. So that, I don't know. It concerns me. And the thing that I've heard about Autel is that the support is supposed to be amazing. They're really supposed to stand behind their product. And for me, that would be a huge sell, because no matter how much I love DJI, there's no doubt that there's a lot of when it comes to support, there's a lot of negative things that people have said online about the support. And I don't know if that's, I've never, I can't speak to that, but it's one of those things. If there was a company that was customer centric, they could potentially really have an advantage. If they provided that quality support, and that's one of the reasons I was so stoked about GoPro's drone before it came out and was a disappointment. Was GoPro is a very customer centric company, at least in my opinion they are. And I felt that would be great for so I'm getting y'all a link here. I felt GoPro would be great if they had a really awesome drone, and they're a great customer centric company, this, that, and the other, but can't have everything, I guess. And I think a lot of people are kind of afraid. Here's a link right here. This is what I found for Phantom 3. I just posted in there. John says, ever flown the 3DR Solo? I've I've flown through a website or two and seen it, but I've never. I don't know. It looked cool. It had they had a great marketing campaign, in my opinion, with the monkeys. I don't know if y'all remember that commercial that 3DR put out when they released the Solo. It looked cool. A lot of people falsely believed that the 3DR Solo was the GoPro drone, and it was not. GoPro released their own drone, the GoPro Karma. But 3DR Solo apparently had some sort of special interface for GoPro cameras. Not to say it's a GoPro drone, but it was a drone with enhanced GoPro communications capabilities. So, it's one of those things, like, if you want to take a plunge and get involved with drone hobby, and you mess with something like that, and potentially, possibly it becomes discontinued or whatever, finding extra batteries, finding extra parts, this, that, and the other could be a challenge. Will they continue to update the firmware? Who knows? It would be, in my opinion, at this point in time, it would probably be a shot in the dark. Not just, not isolating that comment to the 3DR Solo, but a lot of the DJI competitors. I know that makes me sound like a DJI fanboy, but by saying this, I'm just saying, come on, somebody step up. If you're an Apple, you're a Google, you're a Microsoft, step up to the plate. And let's try to create some competition for DJI. Get people that know business, get people that know marketing, get people that know design, and bring those people together, and let's create something that makes DJI shake in their boots. Because without a doubt, DJI did shake in their boots before GoPro Karma released, and I attribute the perceived expedited release of DJI Mavic Pro to DJI's uncertainties associated with a big name, GoPro, releasing a drone that they didn't, at that point in time, they probably didn't know that much about. Mark says, hey, what's up from Montreal, Canada? What's up, Montreal? Cool place. That's actually on my radar. Go up there and fly in and go to Canada. I love the food up there. I love the poutine that you can get all over Canada, and that special version of Crown Royal that's only sold in Canada, which is really good. Sam Curry says, hey, IrixGuy, I'm trying to sell my Phantom 3 Advance. Would you be interested? Man, drones right now, buying drones. Unfortunately, no, but, thanks for asking, man. Roman says, that's the big reason I'm about the Phantom 4 over Autel, even though it was supposed to be so much cheaper, and the Phantom 4 far exceeds my expectations. I will tell you, the Phantom 4 is the drone to date that I'm most happy with. And you know, just a testament to that, the intro and outro clip within this live show where I'm flying over the island, that was filmed with Phantom 4 4K 30 frames per second auto. None of this tap to focus gibberish, just consistently rock solid, stable, great image quality, 4K 30 frames per second video. So, you know, I'm with you on that. Let's see. Samuel Curry says, do you know any good places to sell my drone? I put it on eBay but haven't had any luck getting it off my hands. You know, I use Craigslist a lot, and, you know, Craigslist is one of those things that can be very creepy. You know, you never know who you're dealing with. You know, even you meet in a public place with a lot of people around during the broad daylight, Craigslist can be really creepy. But with that said, I've had some, you know, successful things through Craigslist, and, you know, I always recommend Craigslist in a very cautious way because it can be very dangerous. You don't know who you're meeting. I mean, it's I don't know, but yeah, I've had not drones, but just other random things, and it seems like sometimes Craigslist people, when they buy stuff, it's like they tend to want to spend more for some reason. I don't know if they think that, you know, it's cool because they're doing this, like they're coordinating all this to pick up whatever. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, that would be something to check out. The setup says, hello, Irix. Hello, the setup. You know, again, loyal viewer, I know you are. I see you around here a lot, and a ton of y'all that I see here. I mean, that is super important. I mean, the viewership, the sharing with others, you know, helping this channel grow. Because I'm not a network. I'm not part of a multi-channel network. This is an independent channel, so it means a ton. B. Hendo says Facebook Marketplace. Hey, that's a good suggestion. Adam says, what island is that? It's actually an uninhabited island. It's out in the middle of the ocean. It's not far. I forget how many nautical miles, but probably, I'm trying to think, if you're familiar with the Virgin Islands, it's probably, let's see, what distance? Like 100 or so nautical miles, possibly. Now, B. Hendo says, do you prefer ND filters for your drones? Actually, it's funny you asked it. I used to use ND neutral density filters religiously, and they have worked well. They give a, at least from the drone, I keep in mind, I just keep my drone in 4K 30 auto. And it's I don't know. I guess the best way for me to describe what an ND filter does when I put it on a drone, yeah, it's going to darken the image a little bit, but where I've noticed the advantage to ND filter is looking at water. You know, if you look at water, it's got motion, this, that, and the other. I don't know of a better way to put it, but it just gives it a smoother look. And recently I've just flown with the Phantom 4. It's you know, I've just kept the standard little filter it comes on it, which is just like I don't even know if it's a UV filter. It may just be a glass. ND filters, they can change they can change the look of a photo or a video, but typically if you're in auto mode, they're really not going to do that much. You know, so I guess when I was flying with ND filter on my Phantom 3 Pro and my, let's see, actually I guess it was Phantom 3 Pro, because Phantom 4 I just flew with the stock UV filter or lens filter, whatever it was that came with it. So yeah, John said it right. ND filters are sunglasses for your drone. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And the other thing is, if you do editing in post-production, like with Final Cut Pro or whatever, you know, if you want to give your video a special look, you can typically do it there. So for that reason, you know, I've resorted to just flying with the stock UV filter, and you know, if I want to change the look of it in post, I can. let's see here. Nate's Rock says, have you ever run across a drone hater when flying? What happened? Actually, I did, and I don't know. I don't think you were on one of the shows where I mentioned this, but I was out in the field. No big deal. Public field. Out there driving around in it, and I noticed this guy that was mowing grass. Way far away, and I use Final Cut Pro 10. So, yeah, this guy was kind of far away in front of his house mowing his grass. And I noticed he kept looking over. And, I had a feeling that something may happen. So, I just kept doing my thing and flying my drones and had my truck out there. And I was chasing the truck around with the drones and all kinds of stuff. And I turned around, after I was changing batteries or something, and there was somebody standing there, and it was that guy from the house across the field, and no problem, drone techie rather. Yeah, and go to if you go to epicdroneshow.com, check out my blog. I've got my 4K video editing workflow and a whole lot more listed there in the blog. Yeah, so the guy was in the field, and he was really irritated, and I just stood there. The best thing when you're dealing with irritated people is just to act like you're not phased, because if you act like you're phased, Behendo, check the current, look in the App Store. I think with mine, at least my Final Cut Pro 10, I think it was one-time hit, and I think I spent maybe it was $299 or so for it. I haven't paid a subscription fee for Final Cut Pro 10, but that's not to say that it hasn't changed. But I did a one-time purchase for mine. Jimmy Kerr says, love the show, Irix guy. Welcome aboard. The setup says, you must have been back when you were rocking Phantom 3. That must have been when you were rocking Phantom 3 Pro. No, actually it was, it probably was, it was either Phantom 3 Pro or Phantom 4, because the guy was, like I said, he's in the field, and, if you act like you're phased, then it's just going to, they're going to get what they want. So I just stood there and, what do you want? And he was all heated and huffing and puffing and this, that, and the other. And he said, man, you got to get out of my, field. He said, you can't drive in this field. You're tearing the field up with your truck. Obviously, I wasn't doing donuts or anything. I was going at a very slow rate of speed, to get out into the field and have all my gear in the field, my cameras and my case and all that. So, he was just really irritated. And this conversation went on for a while, and I listened to him vent and said, so is this your field? And then that's when he stuttered, and I said, yeah. I said, to my knowledge, this is a public use area, and I said it's a safe location, and it's definitely a place where drone flights are allowed. He said, well, what are you doing out here? Why do you have all this stuff out here, this, that, and the other? And I said, well, it's a great hobby. Maybe you should check it out sometime. It's a very enjoyable hobby. And then he just started huffing and puffing. He said, well, you're a little, just started cursing me. And I said, well, I always appreciate feedback. And I said, I appreciate your feedback. And he got really mad, walked off the field, and I knew what was coming. So, I stayed out there. I stayed out there for another half hour or so. And sure enough, I'm out there, and there's this guy at the other end of the field. He's got his golf clubs, and he's practicing his golf game. So, two cop cars pull up, and they talk to the golfer guy first. He was parked in the field as well, and I noticed that he moved his car, and then I had two cops approach me. So I'm out in the field with drones, my drone on me and my anemometer around my neck, and and I was just like, oh, this is this is gonna be funny. So one of the two cops walked up, and he was smiling and laughing, and he said, do you know why I'm here? And I said, well, I said, I don't know. I said, I bet that guy across the way called. And he said, yep. And he said, well, I just want you to know that, there aren't any vehicles are not allowed in this field. And I said, okay. I said, I respect that. I said, but this is a public use area, right? He said, yeah. I said, okay. Well, that. I just wanted to be sure about that. So because this is one of my, one of my top areas to fly in, and he was nice about it. I said, yeah. I said, I got to pack up my gear, and then I'll move my truck off of the field. he said that's great. And then the cop standing there flew the drone for a little bit, and just kind of asked what I was doing, and I just said, well, this is just a fun thing to do, great hobby, safe and responsible drone ownership and use. And he kind of chuckled, hung out for a while, and left. So I've seen that guy on multiple occasions in his field, but he never talks to me anymore, and he never calls the cops on me. So I guess that's a good thing. So that was the big moment of being harassed by someone while I was flying a drone. There have been other situations when I'm in a lot of places in the Caribbean. People, they don't harass you. They're just genuinely fascinated about it. So a lot of times I'll attract a crowd, and obviously I'm at a place where I know that I won't be flying over people or any area that's prohibited. But it's often it's a challenge sometimes. When you do attract such a crowd, and that's something we had talked about previously. The advantage of a smaller and more lightweight drone. Something that people see and they're not as intrigued by. You can be more, I guess you would say, covert when you go out and enjoy the hobby. You're not drawing attention to what you're doing with a smaller and lighter drone. So, but I don't know. Have y'all ever been harassed? Have y'all encountered any problematic scenarios while flying a drone? Jimmy says, there are no subscription fees for FCP, Final Cut Pro. One-time purchase. Could be an upgrade fee down the road if they go to version 11. And actually, that's a good point about the possibility of an upgrade fee. If you look at software now, the trend, with one of the big competitors, Adobe, the Adobe CS Suite. The Adobe CS Suite is, they've gone the pay-to-play route. So Adobe Premiere, Adobe Photoshop, etc. And with the new Mac, Apple again is coming out with an iMac Pro at the end of this year, and it's going to be a super high-end Xeon processor rig geared towards high-end VR, virtual reality video editing. So the fact that they're going to release a system that's highly capable of editing spherical video content, VR content, would suggest that a couple of things. Are they going to drastically overhaul Final Cut Pro and create a new version that includes spherical video editing? Or are they going to create a separate product that handles the spherical video editing and keep Final Cut like it is? So that'll be interesting to see if it converts to a subscription-based service, or if it stays like it is. I mean, I can see advantages to both. I kind of like it is now. I take the Sting one time. I mean, $299 is not cheap, but it being a one-time deal, that was nice, just being able to pay for it. And I wouldn't use anything else for video editing. I mean, I'm addicted to Final Cut Pro. It's a great platform. Drone Tech, he says, buy a hawk. He says, a hawk chased my drone, so I turned my Phantom 3 Pro toward the bird's face and avoided the claws and scared it off. Yeah, that's birds. They express a great amount of interest in drones, and I think number one, it's the fact that it's flying up there, and they're probably like, man, what is that? You gotta think how many birds have seen a DJI Phantom. Is that maybe they'll become immune to drones like most people have now, because it's when they first came out, it was kind of like, man, that's out of this world. That's not a worldly object, but yeah, that is interesting. Speaking of being harassed, let's see, I'm going to harass somebody here. Enormous Maine Coon cat. Sean Connery, what do you want to tell your audience? You feel like talking today? Do you feel like saying anything to your audience? He said, every Monday, tune in for hashtag Maine Coon Mondays. But he said today is, he said, I'm just going to sit here in front of the camera for a little bit. That'll work. Yep, Sean Connery is about 25 pounds, and he is, he loves to talk, but he's not in a talking mood today for some reason. So what else we got going on? I know there's a lot of stuff out there. We've got the drones. I think August, without a doubt, August should be when we see something new. Hopefully. Yep, Sean Coonery just taking over the desk. Let's see here. Yeah, at 25 pounds, and actually what's funny is that there's a lot of Maine Coons that even get larger. He's got the wild look. His face and his nose and everything's more narrow. Some of the Maine Coons that have the more tame look, the big fatter face, they can. I know some people that reported having Maine Coons that weigh over 30 pounds. Yeah, he's huge. That's funny. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, John. When he sees smaller dogs, the dogs react in a funny way too. Well, B. Hendo says, any thoughts on a new startup drone company? Well, actually, I've got a lot of ideas. Now, as far as drones are concerned, I'm in it from a hobbyist perspective. But there's a few things actually that I'm working on right now. There's a few things that if they materialize could be really cool. So they're not directly related to drones though. I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's like I've intentionally, with the drones, I've stuck to the hobbyist thing because, it's a way to just have fun. And I think a lot of times if you get involved with the business side of something, that it can kind of take the pleasure out of it. And for me, drones are a hobby, something that I do to relax and have fun when I'm not doing normal work activities. So, but there's definitely some money to be made out there, especially if regulations don't become overly tight. There's definitely some money to be made from the with the drone industry rather. B. Hendo says, have you heard of Amazon's Beehive design for distributing packages? I've heard something, a rumor. I don't know if it was a rumor, if it was actually legitimate, but it was an Amazon, basically let's just say a blimp of sorts, an aerial warehouse. An Amazon distribution center that floats around in the sky, and then drones deliver packages from that aerial distribution center to locations on the ground. Is that the thing you're talking about, or is it something else? The Chief is in, the Remote Chief. Welcome aboard, Remote Chief. This is a live show. 2 patents, very cool. That's a good question, patents. Is anyone here familiar with the patent process? And if so, to obtain not a design patent, well, yeah, actually there's design patent, there's utility patent. And I'm looking to patent something. It's a material product, but I've been researching costs, and I know for the patenting piece, I think it's roughly around $1,000. But I think there may be some other. I've heard people say, anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 range for a patent, and I want to get, and I don't. Well, it's not that I don't. I can't right now because it's something I've developed, and I've. Anybody that is familiar with this has to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. So I can't reveal the specifics yet. But it's something insanely simple, not just simple to design. I will go as far as to say I can say this, that it has that it's made out of plastic type material. So, a few things I would need. First of all, I've got it all sketched out, but I need to create a prototype, and again, this prototype is very simple. It's just a series of plastic pieces, No, this idea is not related to drones at all. But it's something that everybody uses, and it's something that would include all target audiences. And it's something, to my knowledge, and I've done a lot of digging, it's something that has not yet been created. So what I've got to do is create a prototype, and the prototype can be completely plastic. And then I've got to get a patent. And then get ready to retire. So, because I want to create it and then sell the patent to manufacturers that are in this industry, so that they can integrate this component into things that they already make and sell. Roman says, I've had several postal customers tell me how they had drone delivery. Very cool. Remote Cheese says, I like your style, man. Lump sums. Lump sum. That's a way. You brought back a funny memory. Lump sum. Yeah, that's, there's few things. Well, nothing's guaranteed. But one thing is guaranteed, and that is if someone doesn't try, there's not going to be anything positive happen. So, there's nothing wrong with trying and failing, because it's often, especially with the entrepreneurial process, there's often multiple failures that occur, but those multiple failures help to educate during the journey towards greatness. So, it's and obviously it's nothing that someone should do if they think the possibility their idea may fail. Don't sink a lot of money into it speculatively. Don't sink a lot of time. Time is money. Don't sink a lot of something into something that may not become anything. But if you think that it may become something, don't pass on the opportunity, because if the opportunity may exist, do a personal risk analysis. Does the time and or money required justify the the risk? I mean, if you fail, if this idea fails, was anything lost? Yeah, something would be lost. There would be some time lost, and there potentially could be some money lost. So it's I don't know. But the patent thing, that's something I haven't done. I have not, at this point in time, I have not patented anything, and it's the next step. Remote Chief says, this is a great live show. I appreciate that. Laying down the knowledge. Jimmy Kerr says, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. Thomas Edison. That's very, very true. Drone Beetle says, you're too young to retire. You need to get that out of your head. No, I don't think anybody's too young to retire. I think the definition of retirement is often misunderstood. I think when people think of the word retire, they often assume that, oh, that's the end. Someone's just playing golf all day, they're out on their yacht, whatever. That's retirement. But the reality is that when I think of the word retire, I think of complete freedom going forward. So, with that complete freedom, if a financial burden can be eliminated, if there's no need to worry about finances at that point in time, well, yeah, that a lot of people could say that's retirement. I'm retired. But the reality is that is free time. There's no longer the need, there's no longer the financial need to devote X amount of hours per day or per week to whatever task. That becomes a thing of the past. That no longer matters, because an idea hit, an idea performed so well that that person was able to retire. And that retirement created a sandbox that you never get booted out of. This beach stays open 24/7. Do what you want to do in that sandbox. And that's what I want to do when I retire very soon, is I want to continue to try new ideas and see what works also. But yeah, stay tuned. You know, once I get through the phase where I have to keep things hush hush, and again, this was my idea, but out of best practice, obviously, I keep everything under NDA, non-disclosure agreement. So I haven't said anything about my idea that would breach my own NDA that I make people that I have talked with sign. So it's going to be interesting though, and I think it will be something that, you know, once it does materialize, I think it'll be something that'll definitely add value to this channel as well. And that's another thing I want to mention. Just because I may retire soon doesn't mean that this channel will go away, because it won't. That'll just be more time for this channel. John, good. Thanks for tuning in, man. Have a good one. Adam says, where do you get your name from, IrixGuy? Well, great question. It's actually gibberish. And IrixGuy was, you know, I created a, I'd have to look, I think it was back in 2008, I created a YouTube account. And I had no real intent to ever use it. But I knew that I wanted to share videos of people, travel videos, this, that, and the other. And I knew that it didn't make sense from a bandwidth perspective to have someone download. You know, internet wasn't really that fast back then, to have to download everything. So if I could upload it and enable people to watch it conveniently, that, you know, that would be great. So, you know, that's what got me to sign up for the YouTube account, and that was just gibberish. You know, I'm like, I'm gonna come up with something that sounds nerdy and just put this name on this channel. Well, you know, the channel kicked off, and, you know, check out my website, IrixGuy.com, the About section, and it tells a story. I mean, I wish I had a very interesting story, and if, you know, if I did, that would be cool. But I decided, instead of trying to craft something that sounds really markety or whatever you call it, salesy or whatever, I just said it like it was. And, you know, and I went on a cruise, and I filmed a few videos, and one of them was apparently well perceived by YouTube at the time. And at that point in time, YouTube Partner Program was by invitation only, and they invited me, and I almost deleted the email because I'm like, is this spam? And then I'm like, no, that came from Google. You know, that's a legitimate email. So yeah, you know, one thing led to the next, and I never abandoned the name. But what I did add to it was Adventure Channel. You know, I'm like, if I'm going to stick with this gibberish name, IrixGuy, which was cool from the perspective that it was unique, and that's what I liked about it. But if I'm going to stick with this gibberish name, I've got to add something to it. So I added Adventure Channel to it. So it just sounds cool. It sounds all-encompassing. And that's how IrixGuy's Adventure Channel was born. I mean, that's, you know, I wish there was more to the story, but that's it. But I mean, it's taken off. I mean, it's still a small channel. It's not. There's a lot of channels that are huge, and, you know, I'm hell bent upon you know, knocking on their doors very soon and being a serious YouTube competitor. And it's been a fun journey, and going to YouTube in New York, YouTube Space, was a really cool place. Being able to have access to all this equipment and studio space, and, you know, the most exciting thing in there was I'd booked several studios because I could. It wasn't a really busy day at YouTube Space in New York, and I was in this green screen room. It was one of my last shoot locations, and all these people were standing outside. I mean, I'm talking about tons of people. There were models, there were you know, like a whole film crew, audio crew, all these expensive cameras, and they kind of looked in, and I noticed they were looking in, and I went to the door, and I was just like, you know, hey, you know, what are y'all doing? They said, well, actually, we had the studio. And I said, well, you know, not to be a jerk, but, you know, I'd actually booked it for an hour because I was going to do some green screen work in here. And they're just looking at me like, who the heck are you? And they said, well, we're filming a music video. They were filming an actual, and I'm not going to expose who they were or anything. They were filming a huge music video in the studio. And it was just like, wow, you know, who the heck's this guy? You know, so I just said, well, I said, you know what? I said, I'm actually in here just having fun. You know, I just came to New York to film some videos in the YouTube Space, and, you know, I know I've got the studio for an hour, but y'all go ahead. Oh, here's my channel, IrixGuy. You know, check me out. So anyway, that was a fun experience. Drone says, you're doing a good job with the channel. I enjoy it. Thanks so much. You know, I try to keep it across the board. Speaking of that, I got to do a good job. I got some corn. I got some okra. I got some watermelon. I got some tomatoes. I got some bacon. I got to go fry up some bacon and eat some bacon and tomatoes and some vegetables with it, and go for a walk. Because that's the other thing, you know, getting in shape. Because this next level of this journey the next level is going to require a more fit face on video personality. So, you know, I've got to continue to work and sweat out these calories, all this fat and stuff, and get there. But appreciate y'all's viewership. One more question before we go here. B Hendo says, what's your thoughts on the new GoPro? Let's save that for another show. I am super stoked about the GoPro Fusion. And the GoPro Fusion, in my opinion, will hopefully become the tool that will resurrect GoPro. Because GoPro Karma, I think they need to abandon that name altogether. I wish they had just discontinued that product after it was recalled. So, anyway, GoPro Karma, super excited about GoPro Karma, and let's talk about that on the next live show. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Yeah, I've got a lot of favorite colors. This is actually kind of green. I like red. I like blue. I like bright stuff. And the reason is a lot of those colors. Number one, when you're out walking or riding a bike or whatever, people can see you better, so you may not get run over. And then number two, when you're on camera, you know, those bright colors seem to really make the subject, in my case myself, pop out of the video. So thanks everybody. Thanks for watching, and we're going to go ahead and wrap up this live show. Stay tuned for another live show soon, and let's definitely talk about GoPro Fusion, because I think that will be an interesting, super interesting topic. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. YouTube.com/IrixGuy. Check out IrixGuy.com. You can find all the drones, drone accessories. You can find all my blog posts and a whole lot more there. Oh, and t-shirts too. If you haven't checked it out, check out merch under store and then merch. Y'all have a good day. Hey y'all, IrixGuy here. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share. It's viewers like you that enable my channel to continue to grow. Thank you.